Why is Mega Charizard X good now? So, we're going to analyze today a very peculiar phenomenon in which Mega Charizard X is now actually good in VGC. Now, for a bit of context, the good Charizard, since the dawn of Mega Evolution, has always been Charizard Y. The reason is very strong special attack, very high speed, sets up the sun for itself, can hit Heat Wave, can throw Solar Beam, now it has access to a very powerful Weather Ball, so overall it's a very great Pokémon, okay? Synergizes well with other typings, and overall the teams that require Mega Charizard Y to be there usually have insane coverage and insane offense. You probably see either as partner Venusaur with Sleep Powder, and so on and so on and so on. However, something very peculiar is happening right now in Pokémon Champions. This is the last tournament, is a very big tournament. Although it wasn't official, it was organized by some of the most important people in the VGC scene, Victory Road, Second, Folagor, Poké-Alex, and it had 1,000 players, over 1,000 players. Okay? And as you can see here, despite Mega Charizard Y winning the whole thing, you see a lot of Mega Charizard decks. In the top 8 alone, 2 out of the 5 Charizard is X. Why do I say a lot? Because this number used to be 0. Except, well, one time in 2018 with Wolfie Glick making a team with it. But, what has changed? So, a little bit of context. Mega Charizard X, despite being, as you can see by the stats, is for a mixed attacker, 130 in both stats, decent defense, decent special defense, and the same speed. It's actually a physical attacker, because it acquires tough claws after Mega Evolving. It means that Flare Blitz, okay, Flare Blitz, what is it, the Dragon Claw, and so on, get a boost in power, a 30% boost in power. It also has access to Dragon Dance to set up. Why is it good now? Well, first of all, I wanna shout out our community. While team building live on this platform, you can join this community right now if you click the link in the description, if you follow. We predicted that Charizard X was going to be very good in Pokémon Champions. And the reason is very simple. The first one is the over-dominance, as always, of Mr. Incineroar. Okay? Incineroar, as Intimidate, is the primary enemy of physical attackers such as Charizard X. Fake Out, Parting Shot, very bulky fire type, so it's overall a very big problem. How do you solve an Intimidate problem? Well, the immediate answer people would have is King Gambit. King Gambit has the ability Defiant. Defiant, and every time this Pokemon gets a lower stat, gets a +2 attack. Meaning that against Incineroar, you get a +2 attack, which will result in a +1 because you still get the nerf. But King Gambit is not enough. King Gambit, more often than not, is not enough, especially because we also have Sneasler here. Sneasler is running max attack, so 32 adamant, meaning that not even Choppleberry can possibly save King Gambit unless you invest a lot in King Gambit's defenses, which at that point kinda becomes a bit of a problem because you lose the offense, which is very good in King Gambit. So what people realized is that Milotic is in the game. Why am I pointing at a Pokemon that in the ON games was a pain to get because Phoebus was only in one single square of one single route. To evolve it, you had to go all over the beauty contest, and then you had to trade it to obtain. Well, it might have been worth at the time. Now they kinda changed that Milotic is kinda easier to obtain, but it would have been worth it. Milotic gets the ability Competitive. Competitive does the exact same thing as Defiant, but for the special attack, so you get the full boost every time. And looking at the stats of Milotic, you can see that this Pokemon is very bulky. Getting this Pokemon out in one hit is borderline impossible. Probably if Rillaboom was here, it would have been difficult for Rillaboom to defeat Milotic in only one hit unless you commit to Woodhammer. But regardless, this is still a very valuable Pokemon, because Milotic is a very flexible support for our friend Charizard. First of all, it's a water type. The water-fire combination is a very good combo. These two synergize very well together because, of course, one covers the grass types and the other one covers other fire types from tanking the hits for Charizard, from Charizard. And also Milotic has access to many other tools. First of all is Icy Wind. Icy Wind is a good form of speed control, the speed stat of your opponent Pokemon, which is the most important stat in the game. And with Charizard it gets even more important because there's a number one enemy that Charizard X specifically needs to defeat, which is Garchomp. Garchomp is always going to be faster than Charizard, no matter what, unless Garchomp doesn't hold the Choice Scarf, so it holds, I don't know, the Citrus Berry, and Charizard has set up one Dragon Dance. But aside from that, even if Charizard has one Dragon Dance and Garchomp has the Choice Scarf, Garchomp is always going to be faster. And since Charizard loses the Flying type as it evolves in the X form, it means that now it gets very powerful, super effective damage from Earthquake and Stomping Tantrum from Garchomp. It doesn't have to rely on Rock Slide anymore. So overall, Garchomp is a big problem. However, Garchomp is a Dragon and Ground type, meaning that Icy Wind deals like half of the HP of a Garchomp. You may say, it doesn't one-shot. Yes, but you don't really need to one-shot it instantly, because at that point it gets slower and slower and slower, and Garchomp can never one-shot Milotic. Especially if Milotic is trained for bulk. You don't need to invest in the special attack. You have competitive, you don't care. So Milotic, first of all, helps a lot with the speed control and, most importantly, the Garchomp control, because remember, this guy also has the Dragon Claw, doesn't need to commit to Earthquake or Stomping Tantrum. So, Milotic is essential for Garchomp control. Is Icy Wind the only thing? No. It can also have the option to Coil. Why Coil? And Hypnosis. Now you're seeing where I'm going. The Coil raises the accuracy and Hypnosis puts the opponent to sleep. This way you don't have to think about the fact that Garchomp may still be faster in some way, in any way, shape or form, depending on the spread, this or that, whatever. And then Milotic has access to Scald or Muddy Water, which are very good water type moves in general. So with this Pokemon also has access to Recover, healing back of 50% is massive. Some people even run Life Dew to heal back the partner, but we don't have to worry about that, so Recover is going to be very good here. So you can see that Milotic, even with leftovers, some use the Citrus, but I think leftovers is kinda better. You can see that Milotic has a lot of tools to their disposal. But it's not enough. It's not the only reason why Charizard X is finally becoming good. Okay? To talk about the last Pokemon, we need first to talk about Charizard itself. Fire Dragon is a very good defensive typing, especially in this meta. Fire Dragon tanks pretty well the heat waves or the weather balls from the other Charizard, from Charizard Y. It resists both those moves very well, and resists the Solar Beam that Mega Charizard Y can have. Takes neutral damage from Floette, so it will always manage to tank at least one hit from Floette, and since it relies a lot on the setup and or the supporting cast, you can spread this Charizard to be even bulkier, okay? For example, the Charizard that got second there, I'm gonna show you the spread, is spread like this: 14 full points in HP, 21 in attack, 1 in defense, and 29 speed, because you still wanna outspeed the stuff that is not Scarf Garchomp. So, aside from that, you can afford to run Mega Charizard X very bulky, especially because with Flare Blitz you will take a lot of recoil. So you need to resist as many hits as possible. But how do you do that? Well, there's a Pokémon in this game that really helps with that, both with survivability and setuping Dragon Dance. Entering the final piece that in my opinion made Mega Charizard X good. The element that it was missing for all this time. Enter Sinistra. Why Sinistra? Sinistra first of all has the ability Hospitality. On switching, it heals a quarter of the ally maximum HP. That is already a pretty huge deal. First of all, it can heal back Milotic. Okay, and we already talked about how Milotic is very annoying to defeat. It can heal back Charizard, so it can resist one extra hit while also throwing a game-winning Flare Blitz, or Dragon Claw, or set up a Dragon Dance, and at that point you get out of control completely. And, as an addition to that, is a Grass type. It completes the holy trio of Fire, Water, Grass. These three Pokémon cover for each other borderline perfectly. Okay, solely for the typing. This will hit the water types and the water types that Milotic and Charizard cannot reliably hit unless you click the Dragon Claw. Milotic is going to hit the fire types that annoy Sinistra and wall Charizard. Will also hit very well the flying types, and Charizard covers well for the grass type that may annoy Milotic and wall Sinistra. Is that the only value that Sinistra has for this combo? No. We talked about how Garchomp is always going to be faster than Charizard, and it's not the only threat. Aerodactyl is a Pokémon that is getting a lot of popularity because it's so incredibly fast and so incredibly versatile, and is very fast and strong. How do you beat this? You are never going to outspeed an Aerodactyl that is often max speed with a Charizard that is bulky, so as to give up some points in speed and attack. Well, first, it has the ability to set up Trick Room. It seems counterintuitive, but setting up Trick Room for Milotic and Charizard, despite not being conventional Trick Room Pokémon such as a Mega Cameraptor, a Mega Golurk, or a Mega Mawile, is still good because you are going to outspeed very fast threats such as Aerodactyl. And Aerodactyl, with a combo of Machagosha and Dragon Claw, for example, or Scald from Milotic, cannot resist. And just while we're here, let's all talk about Machagosha. Heals the user and has a chance to burn. Meaning that the powerful physical attackers that we mentioned, Aerodactyl, Garchomp, can also get burned by this very bulky cup of tea. And that's not even all. Like, this is not over. Sinistra also gets Life Tube, healing both Sinistra itself and Charizard and Milotic, making it a lot stronger and a lot more difficult to deal with the opponent. Of course, you run a fully bulky Sinistra. Life Dew, you heal it. Matcha Gotcha, you heal it. Some people even run Strength Up, but I didn't really see lately Strength Up a lot. However, items on Sinistra is very good. You can use the Citrus, you can use the Koba Berry to protect it from flying type attacks, you can use the Okka Berry to protect it from fire type attacks. So overall, this Pokemon is very bulky. Even stat-wise, like look at this, you can train it very well, and with Matcha Gotcha is still going to deal very reasonable damage to opposing Milotics and eventual Rotom Wash, Basculegions, or even Palafins, with even a chance to burn them. And if you burn a Palafin or a Basculegion, they are basically in a tough spot. It's worse having them alive but burned than having them KO'd, and you can just get the opponent a free switch at that point. But with the burn, they don't even get the free switch. So overall, it's a big mess. The last move is Rage Powder. Rage Powder will focus the attention from the opponent to solely Sinistra, and we already know how bulky Sinistra is, so it's very likely that it doesn't really go down in one turn, but it's not always a problem, because in that time you may set up a coil, or most importantly you may set up a Dragon Dance. And at that point you are basically on your way to demolish the opponent. You just gotta play well and don't get overzealous. But do you understand the big value that Sinistra brought to Milotic and Charizard? Do you understand the big value that Sinistra brought to Charizard? Added the last member it needed to complete the Fire, Water, Grass trio. Offer incredible support, especially against the threats that Mega Charizard decks used to fear, and brings generic support even to the rest of the team. Like, even the previous ally for Mega Charizard decks, Milotic, gets a lot of value from Sinistra. So overall, this trio is what made Mega Charizard decks a winner. Before we didn't have Sinistra, we had to rely on like Tapu Bulu. It was the best option because not even Rillaboom was released when the last time Mega Charizard X was released. So we cannot even say that how good Rillaboom is going to be with Mega Charizard. It's probably going to be decent because the Grassy Terrain will reduce the power of certain ground type moves. But aside from that, Sinistra was the last piece Charizard needed to be as successful as Charizard Y, which is almost poetic. The rest of the team, well, at that point, since you have this core basically ready to go, the rest of the team can just cover for the rest, okay? For example, you can use an Incineroar because it's always strong. Sneasler is an option that has been used because, other than a fake out support, has also the opportunity to use coaching, giving Charizard attack and defense. You can also have Direct Claw. I hate Direct Claw, but has a chance to sleep or paralyze the target. Now, not me. I never get one of these boosts, except the poison that is probably the worst one. But if you are a normal person and not someone that doesn't get good RNG, Sneasler is a very good option overall. Another good option that is popping out in the current metagame because of the environment the Pokemon Champions created is running double Mega Evolution. The team that got second to this tournament I'm referring used a Mega Titer. Now Mega Titer, of course, is another physical Pokemon, so Milotic is a good ally, Sinistra can support it well, Sneasler can coach it, overall it's also slower, so it's better under the Trick Room with with Sinistra, has access to Rock Slide to defeat the opposing Mega Charizard. Switching the weather is better against rain teams and even snow teams, which surprisingly you may not, depending on what they have actually, but Mega Titer may be better because you remove with the sand the snow that boosts their defense. And additionally, Titer is so good with Sense Stream that you can even bring it without Mega Evolving it. Say you need Mega Charizard, but you also need Titer. You can bring Mega Charizard and bring Titer to help it out, chipping away and removing annoying weather. So it's very good. Another Mega Evolution that we saw do very well along with Charizard was Scizor. Works perfectly against Sneasler, works very well against Floette, which is something that Titer actually doesn't get because it's weak to Floette. Scizor is also better on Garchomp because it doesn't get super effective as Titer. If you ask me personally, I feel like Scizor is much better than Titer in this team. So overall, these are all Pokemon that help support the Mega Charizard X team, especially because they're Pokemon like Mega Scizor is also not something you are forced to use. You can bring both Mega Charizard X if you need Mega Charizard X, and you can bring Scizor without Mega Evolving. Like, base Scizor is already incredibly good. Mega Evolving is a side grid to base Scizor with the Life Orb. We don't have the Life Orb, but even without the Life Orb, Scizor is still very good. So, overall, the current environment and the addition of very strong supportive grass types allowed Mega Charizard to rise to the top. Like, let's look again at the tournament. Like, you are seeing two Mega Charizard X in a world where Mega Charizard Y is the absolute king. This has no precedent, and in my opinion is a very good omen for this Pokemon, because it was kind of forgotten because it was not as good as Mega Charizard Y, but now I feel like it has the opportunity to rise thanks even to the new additions that over the years, while it was absent, got introduced. At this point I'm hyped to see what this Pokemon is ready to do with Rillaboom. Although I think Sinistra is already perfect for this Pokemon. Like, this trio is very tough to deal with, it's very tough to take out easily. So, yeah. Mega Charizard is just straight up strong, like one Flare Blitz is enough to take out most Floettes, Dragon Claw takes care of the rest, Milotic is so bulky and so flexible, Sinistrai is so strong as a support. This core, I feel like, is now a good starting point for the future tournaments. I don't think Mega Charizard X's road to greatness is stopping here. I don't think it's going to be a one-time thing. I think this Pokemon is now perfectly viable, but it needs the end of a good team builder and a good player. So, that's all I had to say about Mega Charizard X. Thank you everybody so much for watching. Remember to join the Purple platform in the description, and see you next time.